So I recently heard this talk or this speech given by a guy named Richard J. Maines, and in that talk he shared this experience that he had with his father. So his dad owned this steel fabrication company that would build like factory automation equipment, so like assembly line parts and pieces and machines and stuff like that. So he grew up with his dad being this big business owner and being successful that way and employing quite a few people and things like that. So when Richard became a teenager, his dad said, "Hey, I want to get you into the workforce. I want you to see what it's like to work and to learn how to work and you kind of learn the ins and outs." And so he started Richard off at the bottom. So he'd clean up the shops and he'd sweep and he specifically mentions that he would clean places where no one would ever see, like behind things in little crevices wherever. So after a few years or after some time of doing that, of kind of being the grunt, around the place, his dad says, "Okay, well, I want to move you up into the shop so you can start learning some more things onto the floor." So he started learning, the process. He started learning how to read blueprints. He just started to learn more of the intricacies of the business, of at least the actual fabrication side of the business. So that went on for a while, and he started learning, and his dad talked to him one day and said, "Hey, I want to take you on this trip to go meet this new client who we sent a bid into to see if we could get their business to build some stuff for them." So it was a completely new client, and they had never done business before. Takes him on this trip. He meets the guy. They meet the representative of this company. So they shake hands, whatever. They start talking, and he says, "Man, you guys submitted the very lowest bid of anybody, like by a long shot. Your guys' was the lowest quote, the lowest numbers." They said, "Oh, well, we try to give people a fair price," things like that. So the conversation goes on, and for some reason, the representative from this company tells them the next highest bid, so the second lowest bid. He tells them that number, which is kind of you wouldn't really do that in business. It's kind of usually you don't share with other contractors or other vendors or whoever the pricing of other people who are trying to get your business. It's just kind of shady. So they thought, like, "Oh, that's kind of weird. Why would he say that? Why would he tell us? Why would he tell us what the second lowest bid was?" And then he hits them with this. So he says, "How about this?" He's like, "I want you to resubmit your bid, and I want it to be just under the second lowest bid. So I want you to raise your price significantly, but get it just under the second lowest bid." He's like, "I can pull some strings and I can make sure that we accept your bid." He says, "And here's what we can do. We can split 50-50 the difference between your original bid and the increase in your bid that brings it in just below the second lowest bid." Does that make sense? So say their low bid for getting this work was $100,000, and then the next guy was $150,000, right? So this representative from the company is telling them to submit their bid at $145,000 and then split the $45,000 extra in half. Richard and his father and their company would keep half of that, so $22,500 or whatever, and then this representative from the company would pocket for himself the other $22,500. And he called it a win-win situation. He's like, "Look, you guys get a lot more than you bid for, and I get paid for getting you guys paid," kind of thing. So to Richard's surprise, his father gets up and shakes his hand and says, "We'll let you know. We'll get back to you." So they go get back in their rental car, and Richard's father asks him, he says, "Richard, what do you think we should do?" And Richard says, he's like, "Dad, this doesn't feel right. I don't really think we should say yes." And his father says, "Well, but don't you think that we have an obligation to our employees to keep a full backlog?" And before Richard could answer, he said this. He said, "Listen, Rick," Richard. He said, "Listen, once you take a bribe or compromise your integrity, it is very difficult to ever get it back. Don't ever do it, not even once." So at the point that I heard this talk from Richard, he's got to be well into his 70s, or maybe his late 60s, but he appears to be in his 70s. He's an older guy, and this happened when he was a teenager. So this lesson has stuck with him. This experience with his father has stuck with him for his entire life, for 50 years at least. And I think that's pretty incredible. That this little situation, this little conversation would stick with a guy for his entire life. And when I heard this story, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I think this is so important. And so I want to read it to you again. Listen, once you take a bribe or compromise your integrity, it is very difficult to ever get it back. Don't ever do it, not even once. I think we all know what integrity means. In this case, it meant not taking a bribe, not taking this shady deal to line both of their pockets. It wasn't right. It wasn't right that he shared the other contractor's information with them for what his bid was, and it obviously wouldn't be right to pocket it, to hide it from his company that he was representing and pocket it, and pocket that money. And so this talk and this story made me reflect on my life and my personal integrity. It caused me to think about where I stand, what my moral scale is, what I believe is right, what I believe is wrong, and where I am on that scale. Which way do I lean, and how do I make my decisions, and am I a man of integrity? And I know that I hope to be, but it got me to start picking apart my life and thinking about places where I could be better in that way. And I think I mentioned before that what I do, so I'm a superintendent for a home building company. So I manage the construction of home building. And I have little or no supervision. For the last 2 years, I've been doing this work for about 2 years, and I seriously have almost no supervision. Very rarely does my boss come out to where I work. We have meetings and stuff sometimes in the office, but for and he calls, but for most of the time, I'm just out there by myself. And I'm just managing these houses, and there is every opportunity for me to do whatever I want. I don't have supervision, so there's every opportunity for me to waste time. I could go drive anywhere I wanted to. I could go to a movie in the middle of the day and my boss would never know. I could go drive to some other town and hang out with a friend for half the day and no one would ever know. So part of it is I could waste a lot of time and no one would ever know. But another thing is that there is tons and tons of material laying around. So we get all these deliveries for lumber and other fine woodworking products. So we get plumbing fixtures and light fixtures and just all this stuff. I could build a house with, I could build my own house or furnish it or whatever with things that I just picked up. One house at a time. I could steal this thing here and this thing there. So there's opportunities to steal. There's just opportunities to do a lot of things wrong because I don't have any supervision. And I've actually found that my position has been a real test of character, and of integrity, which is not something that I anticipated when I was looking for this kind of job. It's not something that I thought about at all, actually. And so it's been a real struggle for the last 2 years. I shouldn't call it a struggle, but it's taken a lot of effort to discipline myself to actually work diligently all day and get a lot done. Because it's really easy to just sit, or like on your phone. It's really easy to just sit there in your truck or in my truck and mess around on my phone or whatever. Or just, there's just so many ways to compromise my integrity. So going back to this, just the idea that it's difficult to ever get your integrity back once you started compromising it got me thinking about what that could look like, I guess, in some kind of a visual. And so I just, spur of the moment, just came up with this graph. And so, I apologize if it's not super well put together, but this is kind of how I see it. So on this axis, you have the frequency of compromise. So how often you are compromising your integrity or taking a bribe or, just whatever, doing something a little shady. So how often you do those kind of things. And then this axis is the magnitude of bad decisions. So here's my theory. The more often you compromise your integrity, the greater the bad decision you will make, or the wrong decision you will make. So that's what this line is, and then there are kind of steps in I don't know what order to put these in or whatever, but on the bottom, so the less frequently you compromise your integrity, the smaller the bad decision you're going to make. So if you were to think about the scale of bad things that a person can do, ways that you can compromise your integrity, at the bottom I put time. So just like what I was talking about, as a superintendent, I can waste time. That's not really hurting anybody. So I don't know if you watch The Office, but there's an episode that I saw recently that where they have this meeting, and I think it's actually about integrity. And so then they start talking about theft of time. So that's stealing from Dunder Mifflin. You know, the employees are stealing from Dunder Mifflin if they waste time. And so Dwight starts, you know, going on this witch hunt, talking about all the ways that everybody's wasting time and all this stuff. And you know, Jim's kind of famous for wasting time. So obviously he's calling Jim out. And anyway, he just goes on this witch hunt, telling everybody how they waste time. So Jim goes, "You really don't think you ever waste any time, any of the company's time?" And so Dwight adamantly says, "No, I never waste the company's time." And so then a few scenes later, Jim has a stopwatch. And when Dwight sneezes, he starts the stopwatch, and then he stops it again when he's done sneezing. Or every time he talks to Jim to, you know, argue with him or whatever, tell him that he's being an idiot, he'd start the stopwatch and stop it again. You know, so, you know, there's dumb stuff like that. Everybody does waste a little bit of time, and it just happens sometimes or whatever. But you know, and I know, when you are intentionally compromising your integrity by wasting time. I know that I do. I know that if for example, we have model homes, right? I've never done this, but I could, you know, we have these perfectly air-conditioned houses with full bed sets in them. If I wanted to, on a super hot summer day when I'm working and sweating and whatever, I could go into a model house, crawl into the bed, and take a nap, and no one would ever know, you know? So that would be that would be a compromise of my integrity. I'm wasting my company's time, and I'm not doing what I should. So you know when you are compromising your integrity with your time. So the next thing I talked about is theft. So in my position where I have no supervision and I'm out there and there are all these materials and things, it'd be really easy for me to take a plumbing fixture or take a light fixture or take whatever I wanted to and then tell the vendor, "Hey, we're missing this thing. Can you please send out a replacement?" No one would ever know. No one would probably, unless they saw me do it, no one would probably ever know that we weren't just missing that thing, but that I stole it and now it's hanging in my house somewhere. So, you know, there are lots of opportunities like that. And you know when you steal something, you know when something you're taking is wrong. But I think that comes after a smaller thing like time. So the more often you compromise your integrity, the easier it is to compromise your integrity, and the magnitude of your bad decision increases. So the things get worse the more you do them. Even if it's a small thing, if you're compromising your integrity in small ways, you know, you compound that over time, and you're going to be making worse decisions, worse decisions down the road. So the next one I thought about was bribes and secrets. So kind of like this deal where he was going to, you know, fudge the numbers and send in a new bid, and, you know, they were both going to pocket a nice chunk of money and go away win-win. That stuff doesn't work. You know, people get away with it for a while, and people may get away with it forever. But you know that it's wrong. You know that it's compromising your integrity, and that is heavy. Have you ever done something wrong? I'm sure you have. I have. So I'll speak for myself. I have done things wrong that I didn't tell anyone about, and it is so heavy. It's this secret that you have that you know is wrong, and you need to tell. You know, you need to make it right, but you don't. You just hang on to it, and it's so heavy, and it weighs on you. You don't even have to be directly thinking about it, but there's just this shadow and this weight that on your. You know, it's just there. And there's no other way to get rid of it besides fixing it, you know, doing whatever you can to fix it. It will stay with you. Same with stealing, you know, same with wasting time. It weighs on you. You know, it just, this weight on your shoulders just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, even if no one ever finds out. You know, there's no way around it. You have to make it right. And so I think that taking bribes and doing shady stuff like that, embezzling money or whatever, you know, whether you get caught or not, you know, you're the only one that's going to benefit by making it right, by one, not doing it in the first place, but two, if you do something like that, you have to fix it, you know, you have to make it right, and that's the only way, and that's how you can start going backwards. But it's going backwards, but going back down and making it so your moral compass is better centered. And you know, that's his point here. It's very difficult to ever get it back. So once you do this kind of stuff, it's so hard to go back. The magnitude of your bad decisions will increase because your frequency of compromise has increased. And it's really hard to break any habit. And doing wrong and compromising your integrity is a habit. Or being a person of integrity is a habit. So, you know, it's one or the other. And then further on, just think about if all this stuff, you're keeping secrets, you're stealing things, you're wasting time, you're doing all these things, all this shady stuff, you got all this stuff going on. How easy does it become to cheat on your partner? I don't have any, first-hand experience with this. My parents are both still married, so I'm not the best person to talk about that kind of thing. But what I do know is that is a big decision. That is not something that someone just does overnight. You know, that's not somebody is happily with someone one day and then the next day they decide to cheat on them. It is a slow progression. It is, you know, it gets worse. You start out small and you do the small thing often, you know. Maybe you're looking at somebody else and you let your eyes stay a little too long for too many times, you know. You let your eyes linger. And then you start looking up things on your phone, you know. You start scrolling through that stuff and looking at bad things you shouldn't be looking at. And it just builds. It just gets worse and worse, whatever you're doing. And so if you don't nip it in the bud at the beginning, the frequency of your compromise is going to go up, and the magnitude of your bad decision is going to go up. So it doesn't matter if it starts. If you know that you are in a relationship with somebody and you let your eyes wander to some other person that you find attractive, you're going to see attractive people, whatever. But you know, and I know, that there's a difference between noticing someone that's attractive and letting your eyes linger. You know, you follow them, you look at their butt, you look at whatever, and you let your eyes stay there and linger. Then you start thinking about it, and then it just goes on from there. And then you start seeking out that stuff. You don't just start noticing it. You know, you don't just start watching somebody as they go by. Then you start seeking it. You know, you proactively are looking for those kinds of things, looking for other people. And then how easy does it become when the opportunity actually presents itself that you make that decision and you cheat on your partner, right? It's not something that you just, no serious bad thing is something that just happens overnight. It is a slow progression because of the frequency of the compromise of your integrity. The magnitude of your bad decision increases. So then after that, this could go on and this could have a million subcategories and a million dots on this line and whatever, and you could add in whatever you personally struggle with or whatever. You know, there are 1,000 ways to compromise your integrity. And so I don't know, this isn't like the finale, but you know, it could go on forever. And so, but what I thought about was like more serious crimes, like, you know, I don't know, if you start stealing little things, how easy, you know, after a while you start doing that enough, the frequency of your compromise is high, the magnitude of your bad decisions increases, so you start stealing little things here and there, then, you know, then what does it become? It becomes breaking into houses or robbing somebody at gunpoint or whatever. You know, it becomes these really terrible things. But it starts small. Maybe it starts, you're stealing candy bars from the store, you know. Then it starts, there's a purse on a bench in the park. The girl goes away to, I don't know, run after her dog or something. You snag her purse, whatever. Maybe it's me on my job sites. I start stealing light fixtures or whatever. I do that often enough. It's going to be easier for me if I know about something valuable in someone's house, that I make the decision to break into their house and try to steal that thing. And then if I get away with that enough times, it becomes easy enough to go after bigger ticket items, you know? It's just this progression. It's this slow thing. So look, I don't want to make this sound like it's some, you know, dark message or whatever. It's all about integrity, and integrity is a very good thing. And most people, 99% of people are good. I honestly believe that. I believe that people are good, and that we want to make good decisions, and we want to be good people and help others and do all this good stuff. More than anything, this is just a warning. You know, this story really struck me, that you really can't compromise your integrity even once. If you know you're compromising your integrity, you have to stop. You have to make the decision right then, I will not do this anymore, or I will pay attention to it and make, you know, a real effort to stop compromising my integrity in this category, in this area, or whatever. Because inevitably, the more frequently you compromise your integrity, the magnitude of your bad or wrong decisions will increase. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what the end point worst thing could be on, and whatever topic or whatever area of life could be. It always starts out small, and the more often you do that small thing, it's easier to do the next big thing, and the next big thing, and the next big thing. It just gets worse and worse. So just open your eyes and be aware and analyze your life and see where you could be a person of more integrity, of higher integrity. With that in mind, just to finish, I want to talk about the rewards of being a person of integrity. You know, we all know the consequences of not being a person of integrity. It can lead to all kinds of bad things. But there's so many rewards. Number one, anyway, and these, you know, there are a million more than this. These are just the ones that I thought of. But one that I thought about is promotions. So you think about your employer. If they know that you're a person of integrity, if they know that they have a thief on their payroll and they know that you would never steal a paperclip, who do you think they're going to promote? They're probably going to fire the one guy if they find out that he's stealing stuff. They're probably going to promote you because they can trust you, right? So that's one thing. And then opportunities. There are lots of opportunities that arise from being a person of integrity. So to go back to like that example of stealing the lady's purse on the bench. She runs after a dog or leaves her purse on the bench. Or maybe that's not the best example. Think about somebody that maybe you just found a purse. You didn't know who the lady was. You found a wallet. You didn't know who the guy was or whatever. You found something. There are lots of stories where somebody finds something and then they look at the ID, they find the address somehow, they look them up on Facebook or whatever, find out where they live, and they return it. And, the person that lost it knows they had $27 in their wallet or whatever. The thing gets returned to them and $27 are in there. That is an awesome opportunity, You probably make a new friendship, you probably take a selfie together and share this awesome story about, integrity and just goodness. And there are tons of stories like that all over the internet, there are stories of stuff like that. And it just creates opportunities, just that's a really small thing, but think about all the opportunities that you have to be honest, and how it can create a new relationship, and it can create a partnership, or it can create whatever, all these opportunities are lying there for us to grab if we just do the right thing. I kind of already talked about trust, but what does it mean to you to trust someone? To have, or the other way, what does it mean to you to have someone trust you? To me, it's priceless. Like to know that somebody trusts me to do the right thing, or to protect them, or it means so much to me if I have someone's trust. And you lose it that fast if you compromise your integrity. It takes so long to build up somebody's trust, or to gain somebody's trust, and in one instant, in one bad decision, it can all be gone, and it's often irreparable. That comes through integrity. That comes from doing the right thing and being honest. One other thing that I thought about was real friends. So we all have acquaintances and coworkers and whatever, but I believe that true, real friendships are the result of integrity. And it goes back to trust, but it also goes back to, I don't know, man. If you spend time with somebody and they are firsthand witnessing your character, and they can see that you're a person of integrity, one, they'll want to be around you more, because everyone wants to be around somebody that they feel lifts them up. I do. I want to be around people that are, good people that can teach me good things and that I can learn from. And so I believe that it creates real, true, solid friendships when you are a person of integrity, because people want to be around people like that. But the biggest thing for me, so integrity, somebody loses their wallet and you return it to them with the $27. Maybe they will post about you on the internet and whatever. Maybe people will know that you did a good thing. But that's not what integrity is all about. Integrity is about doing the right thing when nobody knows about it. So when I'm on the job, and I have no supervision, integrity to me means I'm not wasting time. It means I'm actively working all day to make sure that all of my houses are on schedule, that they're getting built correctly, and all that kind of stuff. Nobody knows that. Well, nobody would know if I was stealing stuff and claiming that it was lost or didn't show up or whatever. But they don't have to, because I don't do that, and nobody really knows that I don't do that. Does that make sense? Nobody would know if I was stealing things, and nobody really knows that I don't steal things. I don't, but that's not something that gets reported to my superiors or or the company. So they don't know that they don't even know that I'm doing the right thing. They assume that I am, and they trust in me that I am, but that's not something that goes on display, that I'm not stealing things. So integrity is it's not always this outward thing that people are going to notice, and that doesn't matter, because what comes of it is peace of mind. Being able to go to sleep at night and not worrying about somebody finding out about your deep, dark secret, or going to jail because you stole something and somebody maybe caught you on camera, or all the weight and all the darkness and all the I don't know, the sick feeling in your gut when you did something wrong. None of that is there if you have your integrity. You have peace of mind, and that is worth more than anything in the world, I think. So I just want to finish by reading this quote one more time. And actually, I mean, it's not by Richard J. Maines, but he never said the name of his dad, so I don't know. I'm saying it's by Richard J. Maines. He quoted it, so it's from him for me. Listen, once you take a bribe or compromise your integrity, it is very difficult to ever get it back. Don't ever do it, not even once. And that is the message and invitation that I would leave with you, that you don't compromise your integrity. You know what small things you're doing that you could fix and that you could stop doing. Or you know if you've done something wrong and you could fix it. You know, you could say you're sorry. You could return the thing that you stole. You could make things right, and you can gain people's trust back. And even if nobody knows that you're doing something wrong, you could still fix it, and you should fix it, because this is what will come. Peace of mind. I want peace of mind, you want peace of mind. There's no greater feeling on earth than being able to go to bed at night with no worry in the world that you are doing the right thing, or at least doing your best to do the right thing. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please subscribe and share it with your friends and get this message out. This is an important message, and I believe that everyone that listens to it can benefit from it. So get the word out. I'm Jake DeWilkins. Thanks for watching.